Listen, it is currently September 6th. If you are in California, please do not go outside and go to the beaches, no matter how hot it gets. California feels terrible right now. If you are anywhere outside of California, congratulations. You have survived. You won the lottery in this one, folks. I'm just going to be showing and sharing some of my tips if there are any new players who need inspiration or something about a couple tips that people could maybe grab and run with to prepare for Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. If you're so inclined to. If you're not, it's fine, you know. Autonomy. But regardless, let's jump in. I just spit on my leg and it feels so cold. I'm just gonna spit on myself. Okay. Okay, so welcome to my video where I talk about 5 things that you can do to prepare for Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. Now, full disclosure, I am making this video quite early in the release cycle and release information of the features that will be in End of Dragons. I might make my own wish list of features I would like to see in the future, but I'll leave that for another video. Regardless, I want to talk about some things that you can be doing right now in Guild Wars 2 in the live game, just so you can, like, get a footing to make sure you're not falling behind, or you can accomplish things right now, which might not necessarily be as easy to accomplish in the future. So, with all of that said, let's begin with my 5th tip. This one I wanted to focus on because it is an MMORPG. My 5th tip would be find a guild and or a select few good friends that will play with you and share your experience in Guild Wars 2. You can kind of start, you know, finding guilds that are out there right now. Lion's Arch and other areas that are heavily populated often will have people advertising their guilds, or you can just ask random strangers, hey, do you have a guild? Do you know of any other resources where I can find guilds? So on and so forth. If you're not necessarily looking for the guild route, you can of course just meet people in Discords. I have a Discord, many content creators have Discords, and it's a nice way for you to facilitate maybe some beginning friendships, which could lead to very strong friendships. Overall, I think having a good base of players who share your same interests, similar interests and stuff, will not only help you in your time playing Guild Wars 2 before End of Dragon releases, but whenever End of Dragons eventually does release, you'll be able to go in not necessarily as a solo player, though you might play solo sometimes. You'll have friends to bounce ideas off of and your excitement off of and your overall experience of the expansion. I loved doing that with Path of Fire with my friends, and I hope to do the same with End of Dragons. So that was my 5th tip, finding a guild or a good group of friends. That doesn't have to be like 500 friends, just like 2 or 3 good ones. And now for my 4th tip. This is more so about the concrete functions of the game, or features in the game, I should say. My 4th tip is to farm those hero points. It hasn't been confirmed, but you know, I'm 99% sure that elite specializations are in fact coming with End of Dragons. I don't think we're getting them in the Icebreed saga, and I mean, there's no signs that say that elite specializations wouldn't be in the expansion, considering the past 2 expansions have carried on the tradition of elite specializations. So, to prepare for the inevitable elite specialization introductions with End of Dragons, I'd highly suggest getting on as many characters as you have and farming hero points. A good way to do it is to go onto Heart of Thorns or Path of Fire maps, where there are hero point farms. Path of Fire is a bit more soloable. Heart of Thorns would require some more people. Another way you could do this is by playing competitive, if you enjoy PvP or World versus World more so than the general PvE experience. by leveling up and, you know, farming all the tracks and stuff, you can get items which give you hero points. So there's ways for you to kind of slip in and accomplish this goal, depending on what type of gameplay you enjoy. So that was number 4, hero points. Tip number 3, this one is actually a pretty new one, okay? My third tip is do the Skimmer Mastery quest line. It was just introduced a week or 2 ago, and I think you will probably have to finish Path of Fire. I'm not 100% sure about the requirements, but I do know you need the Skimmer mount, I presume. You will be able to get a mastery which allows your skimmer to go underwater. I say this because I have a feeling, and this is just a feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion that End of Dragons is going to utilize the underwater combat and underwater maneuvering more so than any other expansion that we've seen. The base Guild Wars 2 game touted their underwater experience as being so much more than any other MMO, and we never really saw it be expanded upon or touched on. We did get a balance patch a couple months ago, which was great, and that kind of gave us a little hint as to what they might be planning. And then of course they came in with this Skimmer Mastery, where you can go underwater with a mount and swim and skim much faster than just swimming as your own solo player. So I highly recommend getting this now or sometime in the near future, but I think it will be very useful. So that was my third tip. My second tip is actually one that would require you to continue to play the game. My second tip is continue to keep playing the Ice Brood Saga story. As a person who is extremely attached to the narrative of this game, I look at Living World Seasons and of course the saga now as a great tether that connects an expansion to another expansion. The story will continue to progress, and it's always wonderful to keep in the loop. So even if you don't farm any of the new maps or the new episodes, so on and, you know, whatnot, I highly recommend still going into the game like every 2 months or so, whenever they drop actual episodes, to just play the story, to at least get an understanding. Because you don't want to miss an episode and then be like, I don't really get the whole entire picture. So this is just me kind of like advertising the saga as a thing that will continue to shed light on what might happen in the expansion and how things in the expansion came to be. So keep playing the Ice Brood Saga story. That's my second tip. And then of course my tip number 1, not necessarily a matter of importance, but for me it's quite important. Tip number 1, I would have to say, get as much and as many pieces of legendary gear as possible. They have said that they are working on a legendary wardrobe collection which will allow you to store your legendary equipment in a place that is accessible across all of your characters. So there's no more putting things in a bank and then someone picking it up and using it themselves. Everyone, to my knowledge, will be able to copy and paste it onto their character, basically. With this, it has created a much greater incentive for players to go out to get legendary equipment. Even me, I've started collecting more magnetite shards and raid currency and other crafting materials to hopefully get my light armor, my legendary light armor. I have legendary heavy armor, but I want light armor. And of course the trinkets and accessories and the rings, I highly recommend going for anything that is at least easy. I think the best thing is to start easy, just to give you something, to give you a little edge, because I do think that this feature will be coming with the expansion. I think that Guild Wars 2 would be smart, and ArenaNet would be smart, to hold off on many of the big features that will change the game fundamentally, and release them with the expansion to get as many people in the expansion as possible, to be like, oh, there's like 10 features coming instead of just 3, being like a new mastery, a new elite spec, and like maps on and all that stuff. I would love if they kept Those features such as the legendary wardrobe, hell, new masteries like boating or something, a multi-person mount, elite specs, world versus world alliance system. I think that needs to come with the expansion, hands down. A new race, maybe a couple, like the game launches with 2 fractals, and then a month later will launch with a a raid, not a dungeon, a raid, something like that. Something that is more traditional, that allows MMOs, other MMOs, to really see a surge in player base and a surge in interest. I think Guild Wars 2 hasn't really tried that with its past expansions, and I think it would be really smart. So, if my predictions do come true, if you stock up on legendary armor, you'll be in the best shape you possibly can be in. So thank you everybody so much for dropping by and coming to this little small list of things that you might want to work on. Of course, there are other achievements which are more easily managed with people playing the game right now, especially if they're in living world maps, because that's when people are going to be playing them. If you come back in 2 months' time, not as many people might not be playing, so you might have a little bit more difficulty. Regardless, once again, thank you guys for coming by. Like the video, like to comment below. I would love if you subscribed and looked at my description. I have a Patreon if you would like to help support me during these Covina times to keep it pumping out content. I, of course, love doing this so much, and I love talking to you guys, and you guys really do mean quite a lot to me. So I hope you guys are safe and healthy, chill, and keep playing games. Keep having fun. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Mwah!